And now, will you please join me in welcoming another lovely lady in Las Vegas, a lady that I have the pleasure of working with on I Know I Came In Here for Something, the producer of the show I Know I Came In Here for Something, and an incredible speaker, author. Well, I'm going to let Carole speak for herself. Would you join me in welcoming Dr. Carole Altman?
Oh my God, following such a fabulous voice and such a wonderful woman. It's interesting, I'm going to be talking about happiness, not sex, I'm sorry, unless you have questions. We just had four wonderful women who really found their happiness and have shown it so beautifully. And they found their path. When Joan was talking about letting it flow, the Chinese word for let it flow is wu-wei. And I always wondered, did we get woo-wee from that? Because letting it flow is such a glorious thing. We've been sitting a long time. I wonder if you'd just like to stand up and shake a little bit, please. Yes, whoa! Whoa! Make some noise, whoa! And make noise, you'll let your lungs open up and get much open. Whoa! Whoa! Look, just a little bit of get rid of some of the calories and those delicious food. Thank you, ladies. Just like to give you I'd like to give you a little background before I start to talk. My name, again, is Carole Altman, and I'm going to be giving out a sheet. There is, believe it or not, an Institute of Happiness. It's very hard. I was very surprised to find it, but they do research on what makes you happy, how you can be happy, do you understand what happiness is, all of that. I'm just going to give out a sheet with some of the attributes of happiness, which you can take home, of course, but I'd like to talk about Joan. You were wonderful. Absolutely. And Anne and Terry and Jan, thank you so much. This book came about, let me see if I can find it right. I was so prepared. It came about because I was meditating, and when you meditate, you get hypnagogic images that when you're meditating, you push them away, you don't concentrate on it. But when I got this image, it just blew me away. It was the word therapist separated the rapist. And if I had it to show you, but it's right here. Oh, great. Thanks. Therapist, and you just. Oh, I'm so prepared. The rapist. And I said to myself, like the other women who were speaking, you get messages from God, you get messages from a spirit. And I said, that message is for me. I was seeing clients as much as 1 year, 2 years, some people 3 years. And that message was that I was becoming a rapist. I do not any longer believe in long-term therapy. And what I did was start giving homework to my clients to save them money and times coming to see me. And the homework got more and more intensive and more elaborate, and questionnaires and all kinds of things. And I was at a cocktail party talking about my new procedure because of this hypnagogic image. And a man came up to me and said, I'm with G. Putnam's and Sons, which is one of the largest publishing houses in New York. He said, and that's a book. And this is my first book. You can be your own sex therapist. And one of the things about happiness is that you take responsibility, that you take accountability. And I think this book came because I took accountability that was a message. And I started, and it won an award by the American Medical Writers Association for a book in the medical field by a non-medical writer. So that was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. The next one was a short typewritten thing. For me, I type very, very quickly, and maybe it took me an hour to type up some things that I do on an everyday basis regularly in order to be as happy as I am, to have as good a life as I have, or whatever it is. And I just typed it up for a friend of mine, and it was about 100 things. And she said, my God, that's a book, a little book. And so here's my little book, 101 Ways to Make Love Happen. And it's just very simple. It didn't make very much money. But what it did make is a tremendous amount of reward to me, because people call me, they say, They open to any page, doesn't matter where. I'll just open to this page. Okay, never blame. And that thing is so important. If you blame anyone, you have barely begun your education. If you blame yourself, you have not begun your education. It is only when you blame no one that you have begun your education. That's Aldous Huxley. So this little book, I get phone calls from people. I open it every day and I see a thing, and that's what I do for the day. You know, I try to remember that kind of a concept, which is on the road to being happy, because blaming is not taking responsibility, it's not being accountable, and it's just a negative thing to do. And this one, very interesting. Don't have sex again until you read this book. So everybody goes to the last page. And my husband says I make him do it till he does it right. That's the teacher in me. I wrote an article in 1974, in the height of the women's sexual revolution and women's freedom and all of this. I wrote it for Penthouse Forum, and it was called Casual Sex is Dangerous, or Casual Sex is a Problem, something like that. And I was going through some magazines and I saw it and I said, you know what? Casual sex is just as bad now. It's just as serious a problem, if not more, because I was seeing many clients, women who were heartbroken because they thought this guy was in love with them, they thought everything was wonderful, they knew them a week and a half and they were having sex every minute, and they didn't understand why he wasn't calling. So I got together with a friend of mine, and he paid to print the book. And really, what it is a guide to a loving relationship, a really deep, spiritual, loving relationship. It's not as much about sex as it is about establishing trust and establishing a relationship, establishing getting to know each other, respect. And from this, I came up with the 3 R's of a good relationship, whether it's your friends or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, doesn't matter. It's reward, recognition, always compliment, always tell the person thank you, always recognize that they look good, that you like what they're wearing or you like what they did. The recognition on a daily basis is so important, and yet when we get to know people and we're comfortable with them, we stop doing that. So one of the R's is recognition. The other R is responsibility, the ability to respond. Sometimes we ignore our partners. I mean, I was sitting, I'll never forget this, I was sitting at a poker table and a waitress came over who everybody there knew, nice, and she was crying, does anybody want anything? And I followed her and I said, what's the matter? And I come back and this friend of mine said, where did you go? I said, I wanted to see how Tracy was. She, why? Nobody even noticed that she was crying. I mean, we really don't look at people, or we were embarrassed. A member of one of my groups came in and her face was all red and raw. And I said to her, my God, what happened, Mary? And she said she had poison ivy. And she said, you're the first person that asked me all day long. She was working, nobody said a word to her. They thought her husband beat her or whatever they thought. They didn't ask her. It's like she was invisible. She said, I felt so terrible. If a man's fly is open, tell him. It's embarrassing. It's okay to tell people these things. Okay, back on this. So I wrote this book. And it's interesting because each of the times I was doing what I thought was right, what came to me, like you said, things come to you through God, come to you in all, the wonderful, cool things that you have, and look how great this happened to you. Things come to you when you're open, when your heart is open. If you're closed, nothing's going to come to you. And I'm going to give this around, but some of the things that we're closed with, barriers to pleasure and happiness. Judgmentalism. There was a great movie. 2 men are walking down the stairs and one says to the other, why didn't you tell me that you were unhappy? He says, why didn't I tell you? All I said was I have a girlfriend and you jumped down my throat. You started judging me and telling me I shouldn't have a girlfriend. How can I tell you anything else once you say, that's the wrong thing to do? So judgmentalism is very, very serious. Once you judge somebody, someone's speaking to you and they're telling you a problem, you say, oh, that's horrible, that's the wrong. They're not going to tell you anymore. They're closed to you. It's a way to closing communication, judgmentalism. It's a very negative thing. Expectations. You ever walk into a movie or a show or some friend's house and you're so disappointed you expected much more? No expectations, no disappointments. And sometimes we put the expectations on the other people too. We say, oh, I thought you were going to do such and such. And, you know, they didn't, so then they feel bad. Futuring, we all do that. How many of you think you're psychotic? My daughter. Shelley. How many of you have conversations in your head? Everybody. Okay, it's kind of normal to say, I'm going to say to so-and-so. The psychotic part is when you say, and then he'll say. So we're real basically pretty psychotic. So futuring is really a problem. Don't future and don't past. One of you said living in the now is so, being here now, living in the now. Clint Holmes wrote this song, If Not Now, When? I mean, all of that now is all we've got. I mean, this room, all of us here, this is all we've got. There may not be anything else. So cherish every single moment. I do a gratitude list every morning. And that list reminds me of all the things I'm grateful for. I don't just let them slide by. I remind myself verbally of all the wonderful things in my life. My daughter and my granddaughter and my husband and all my wonderful friends and Camille and this charity that I love. I was going to wear my angel. I forgot. I've got everything. So forgetfulness is okay. Okay. I'd like you to just turn. Some of you have done this before, but let's do it again. Just turn to someone near you and give them a compliment. Something real, something you really like about them. Just say something nice.
I still love your mouth. Erica, I think you look really nice. That's all you got on the
Okay, now look around. Look around. Look. The smiling faces, how much different everybody looks. And Joan just said that was powerful. Do you want to share it? Okay, but it is a very powerful thing. The other day, this was really interesting to me. I find something nice about everybody. I really do, and I make an effort. It's not phony. I do make an effort, but I find something nice. I was in the ladies' room, and a woman had really beautiful hair. I love hair. I love Joan's hair. I said, I like it. She had beautiful hair, and I said, I love your hair. And she said to me, I was thinking how pretty your blouse is. And I said to myself, why didn't you tell me? But that's what we do. Stuff like that has happened before. I was in Brio, and I said to the hostess something nice, and somebody else, a stranger, said, I thought that too. Why didn't you tell her? We don't say the loving, kind things that come to our mind. Say them. Do them. Reflect on it and share it, because that's what life is all about. I'm going to give these out. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but just very briefly. How many of you think you intend to be happy? You have the intention to be happy. That's great. You wake up every day and today I'm going to be happy. If something bad happens, let me just explain a little bit about stress. Stress is not the flat tire. It's not the illness. It's not the death. It's not the broken dish. Stress is what you allow into your body. All of those things are stressors. They're problems, but they're not the actual stress. What you can ignore, neglect, erase, turn around and make it more positive, you will not allow it into your body. That's what the stress is. It's what comes into your body. I have a great thing in a workbook that I wrote about stress. There's a picture of a Chinese man carrying a bundle tied on his stick, and he's just walking, and the bundle breaks, and the bottle breaks, and it's on the floor, and he keeps walking, and someone says to him, you just broke your bottle that you were carrying. He says, so what good would it be to turn around? Isn't it true?
It's gone, it's gone.
It's gone, it's gone. There's another great anecdote that I like. Two priests are walking down the road, and a woman is drowning in the lake. So one of the priests runs over and saves her, carries her, puts her on the ground, makes sure she's okay, and walks away. They're walking about a half an hour, and the second priest says to him, you know, you touched a woman. You are not allowed to do that. He says, I put her down a half an hour ago. You are still carrying her. Isn't that great? So let go. Forgiveness is one of the most healing, curative things you can do. If somebody is terrible to you, you don't take them back into your life. You don't give them the opportunity to do it again. but you take it out of your life. You take it out of your system. You don't keep the hate and the revenge and the anger, because that's what the stress is all about. So letting go is very important. So if you guys would pass this around, I do have to talk a little bit about sex, otherwise I wouldn't. My Hippocratic oath.
It would ruin your day.
I just want to tell you a little bit about an orgasm. An orgasm is a built-in healthcare system. It absolutely is. There's an entire book by Wilhelm Reich. It's about 9,000 pages, and it's this fat, and all it talks about is the effects of an orgasm. When you have an orgasm, it is the only moment in time when your entire body is relaxed, when there is no tension in any of your muscles, when your blood flow is going very freely, when the acidity in your stomach is lessened, when your heartbeat is perfected. Even if you have arrhythmia or something at the time of an orgasm, your heartbeat is perfect. It really is a built-in healthcare system. So I suggest to everybody to try to have an orgasm a day to keep the doctor away. I gave my mother a vibrator when she was about 75, and she said, "What's this, honey?" And I said, "Well, you massage your hands, your arms, your legs, whatever. It's good for your blood flow, and it's very good for you." About a week later, she says, "The batteries are dead." So I gave her an electric one. Anyhow, it's kind of a taboo subject, but having an orgasm is very, very important for your health. If God didn't want you to take care of yourself, He would have put your arms a lot shorter. Ninja likes that one. So, do you have any questions about a friend of yours? The most frequent question that I get is very interesting for older couples. A lot of men and women stop cuddling, stop touching, stop hugging, because the man doesn't want to perform, or is too tired to perform, or is unable to perform, but never stop touching. Touch is the most important concomitant. And with babies, they did all kinds of research. You can carry a baby forever, you can give them the best food, you can do everything perfect, but if you don't touch that baby, it's not going to be as healthy. In fact, monkeys, that they did everything perfect, but they didn't touch them. They were failing. In fact, there's a disease called marasmus that young babies in orphanages die from. And they found out the cute babies do not die. And they started watching that. The nurses cuddle the cute babies longer than the other babies. And marasmus is a very serious disease, and people still suffer from it. And as adults, it's called depression. We don't get touched enough. The fun part and the good part is that your body doesn't know who's touching you, so you can touch yourself and get the same pleasures. No, seriously, the touching your own body, oiling yourself, whatever, or if you have someone else to do it, that's great. But don't stop touching yourself. Touch is very, very important. Yes?
And how long should you do it? How many years? What's the cutoff?
Until you die.
Seriously?
Seriously, until you die. You should be. How long do you do this? She's got to go. She's got to go do it. Okay, anyhow, any questions, any comments, anything? One more thing to protect yourself. I love this. It's a disarming technique. If somebody insults you, you just say, "I can understand that." You don't let it in, and whatever they say, "I don't like your blouse, I don't like your pants," I can understand that, I really can. If they're very mean and nasty, and they do it a lot, you say, "You should have seen what I was wearing yesterday." I have all these little techniques. I like to share as many as I can think of. But thank you, Camille, for Gateway. It's a fabulous, fabulous charity, and we've had the best fun with I Know I Came In Here for Something and all the other things. And thank you all, and thank you, Terry, and Jan, and Joan, and Anne. You were all wonderful. And thank you for the tea.